Go.
We're now at the second location of the same intersection, just a few feet further down so you get a better view of the magnificent building over my right shoulder. This is Federal Hall, and you see a giant statue of George Washington standing there because it was here that George Washington was inaugurated as the first president of the United States in 1789. However, he was not inaugurated on the steps of this building because this building was not even standing in 1789. In 1700, the city of New York erected a building here that was the City Hall. And it was on the second floor balcony of that building that George Washington was inaugurated in 1789. But in the early 19th century, that building was demolished. And this building was built actually as a U.S. Customs House and part of the Treasury building. And the colonists decided that they needed a location. In 1789, the colonists used the original City Hall of New York City as the first home of the Congress of the United States. But Congress only stayed here until 1790 before they moved to Philadelphia. So George Washington was inaugurated here, Congress met here for about a year, and then they left the city of New York. It was too cosmopolitan, it didn't represent the rest of the city, and it was decided that they needed to find a new place for a headquarters. So Congress left and didn't come back until September 6, 2002, a year after the attacks of 9/11. 300 members of the United States Congress came back to New York City and met in this building in symbolic show of support for the city after 9/11. It was the first time since 1790 that Congress met in New York City. This building was built in the 1840s and it was turned into a memorial in the 1950s. The statue of George Washington is to commemorate him and his inauguration point, even though he didn't actually get inaugurated on the steps of this building. It's now a memorial run by the National Park Service, open to the public, free of charge. You can go in anytime you want. You can even see a copy of the Bill of Rights of the Constitution of the United States. If you take a look over my left shoulder, you can see now over my right shoulder, you can see 40 Wall Street, which actually says the Trump Building. The significance of this building is twofold. One, for 1 month in 1930, it was the tallest building in the world. Until the Chrysler Building was completed, only about 100 feet taller, but 40 blocks north. And they argued for a year about which building was actually taller. This one, 970 some odd feet. The Chrysler Building, 1,046 feet. And really, the Chrysler Building was only taller because it had a 100-foot spire on top of it. So the owners of this building argued that this building was actually taller because it had the highest usable floor. They went back and forth for a year, but in 1931, it was all moot because the 1,200-foot Empire State Building, 1,250 feet to be exact, Empire State Building was completed, rendering both of them not the tallest building in the world. The building was bought by Trump in the 90s. He tried to sell it in 2003 for $300 million. No one was buying it, so he held on to it. And as Trump does, he puts his name on any building that he owns, so it is the Trump Building. It does retain one significant it has one thing that it holds, one title that it holds to its name. It is the tallest mid-block building in the city of New York. It is not on a corner, and it is the tallest mid-block building in the city of New York. We're now going to head to some of the newer parts of the city, and we're going to pass the World Trade Center site, and then we're going to head up to City Hall Park.